Let's take a look at strengths-based people management. Strengths-based management was born out of the concept of positive psychology, which asserts that people thrive based on strengths and want to give the best of themselves through things that they enjoy and are good at. A strength is a quality that we have that energizes us, that we're good at or we have the potential to be good at. If managers focus too much on the negative aspects of performance, an employee's weaknesses or development points, they'll only prevent failure rather than creating success. In an employment context, a discussion about weaknesses might make an employee defensive or lower their self-confidence, and the ensuing thoughts and actions can drive negative behavior. Positive thoughts and comments keep the brain open to possibilities and encourage individuals to develop themselves, gathering new skills and capabilities. Employees who experience more positivity at work are more likely to feel confident in their work, develop their skills and capabilities to progress their performance and their career, and are less likely to feel stressed or out of their depth. When weaknesses or mistakes do need to be discussed, the focus of the discussion should be on the learning opportunity they present, what can be done differently in the future, rather than criticizing or punishing the employee. The process for selecting and developing talent should utilize strengths and encourage people across your organization to talk openly about their strengths, theirs and their teams. Discourage any focus on weakness or mistakes and instead reframe comments, challenge negativity, and actively encourage positive storytelling. The use of strengths-based approaches in selecting, developing, assessing, and recognizing employees should improve the outcomes and encourage employees to feel more positive about their value within the organization. The evaluation of strengths-based processes can be considered through the success and tenure of those recruited. Peer coaching is becoming more popular in organizations that intend to develop a stronger coaching culture. It encourages small groups to coach each other. This removes the needs for an external resource and encourages the peer group to coach collaboratively. Peer coaching requires that all members of the peer group are trained and capable as coaches, that their peer group are empowered to take time to meet, and they're comfortable coaching each other. Those employees planning to participate in peer coaching should be equipped with the skills to be an effective role as a coach. They don't need to learn what coaching is and isn't, and some of the core skills that make for an effective coach. Encouraging peer coaching to take place is a positive step, but you have to be prepared to cover the workload to allow the time for coaching to happen without creating greater pressures for the participant. Check in regularly with participants and informal feedback about the process, the effectiveness of the coaches, and get a sense of the difference between their coaching that's having on their work, their challenges, and their relationships. By implementing a peer coaching approach in your organization, you're demonstrating to employees that you support their development and building trust, empathy, and collaboration among colleagues. The intention should be to provide an opportunity to employees, enabling them to seek support from their peers. Investing in the development of employees ensures that they can perform at their best with relevant skills and knowledge. Workplace learning can have a positive effect on employee well-being. For employees who wish to develop their skills, knowledge, or experience, or to enhance their education, support from their employer can only be a positive thing. While some development may be mandatory, the provision of employee-directed learning opportunities can encourage employees to grow, develop, collaborate, and contribute. Providing opportunities for employees to learn or through work offers many advantages or outcomes for both the employee and the employer. For the employee, the opportunity to learn and develop skills and knowledge can enhance their commitment to your organization, build their confidence and capacity, and encourage them to develop and optimize their potential. Learning can increase curiosity, help maintain and achieve mindfulness, and prepare to help and adapt for change, both at home and at work. For the employer, developing the competence of employees improves collective organizational performance and may positively impact individual mental health, employee retention, employer brand, and reduced absence due to stress. Leaders can encourage a positive and reflective learning culture within their own teams. No one plans to come to work deliberately to underperform, upset others, or perform irrelevant or time-wasting tasks. What becomes important is making the connection between what the employee does in their daily work and the overall business goal. Creating that sense of significance for people, a sense of purpose, highlighting that their tasks, however big or small, really matter, is likely to foster a greater sense of engagement among employees. One study found that 50% of survey participants across a range of US companies felt that they lacked meaning and significance at work. It also reported that those employees who do feel a sense of significance are more likely to stay with their current employer and report greater job satisfaction and higher levels of engagement. Enabling employees to make a connection between the work that they do on a daily or task basis and the broader goals and achievements of the organization will offer a sense of importance that can encourage greater commitment. Spending a small amount of time to describe the significance to the employee can lead to improved processes, better quality and better collaboration, and tasks and beyond. Engagement surveys should show that employees are able to make the connection between their work and the company's goals, and that employees feel that they're participating in meaningful work and that they're able to make a difference. Measures such as retention and overall engagement scores should increase positively and purpose becomes clearer. No communication or miscommunication about well-being can be demotivating and disengaging for employees. Continuous, relevant, and authentic communication can have a significant impact on how employees feel about the workplace. Feelings of uncertainty, low motivation, low self-esteem, and so on can arise when employees are not informed about the future of the business, its performance, its purpose and impact, and their own contribution, performance, and impact. An annual communication plan pulls together your business's regular events and activities to share this information with your employees and provides a further level of clarity and detail on the communications methods. Your communication plan should cover all employees at every level across the business. The communication plan encourages you to consider the different needs of audiences. Giving some thought to the different preferences and using what you know about your team members to plan your communication can ensure that you optimize your interactions. Overall, employees who are more informed are more enabled. They understand why they're doing what they do, the future direction of the business and work, and their role in it. You may want to consider different methods of delivery using a greater variety of media, of presenter, of format, and a different way to promote the same key message so that the plan doesn't lose its impact. Ideally, at each stage in the communication plan, you'll see a deeper understanding of the messaging. As a manager, you'll need to have regular one-on-one conversations with your team members who report directly to you. You might have to meet with them to discuss their goals, their progress against those goals, challenges they face, opportunities, or just updates or catch-up conversations. As well as the obvious benefits of being more active, walking can reduce risks of some chronic illnesses, particularly heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and asthma. It strengthens the heart and lungs, and research suggests that walking can aid sleep and help people feel more refreshed during the day. Providing your body with a refresher oxygen can help bring a greater clarity to your brain. When you breathe fresh air, you automatically think better compared to being inside for long periods. You can invite your employee to join you in a walk and talk during regular conversations. It's suggested that this is not a mandatory approach, but an option for both parties to consider. Take into account safety and comfort issues when planning your route. Since there's no place to keep notes of the meeting as you walk, more sensitive topics or formal discussions may not be appropriate. In addition to the scientifically proven benefits, we must also recognize that the walk and talk creates the opportunity to remove barriers and break down the formality of an office discussion across the desk. It's helpful to gather some initial feedback about the effectiveness of the experience from those who participate. Flow is a state of complete immersion, where your focus is so strong that you don't notice you're tired or hungry. Because it can aid in well-being at work, it's important to know how you might engineer that flow, how you can create the environment that allows an employee to get into a flow state. The causes of flow are varied and individual. The advantages are clear. Flow can increase happiness and well-being, persistence and achievement, self-development and self-awareness, and it can lead to higher levels of performance. Flow is an individual thing. What sends one person into a state of flow could be very different to their colleagues, and so engineering the environment does not mean a one-size-fits-all approach. In consideration of this individualization, a first step should always be to ask your team members how they work best. The environment may be different depending on an employee's social ability or thinking preferences. For some employees, it will be important to have a quiet space, devoid of interruption, without noise, and with access only to the information really needed to complete the task at hand. Others may find that being in an active environment with other people around them who can share ideas and brainstorm with will help them get more focus and deliver a goal. In evaluating the impact of that experience that a flow can have, both the individual and organizational impact should be considered. Getting feedback from the employee will be important to raise your own awareness of the impacts that the environment and conditions you enabled had on their ability to experience flow. Organizational impact should also be considered. Does the flow of experience of one inspire the performance of others? Our mindset is the way that we think about things, and it determines how we deal with things in the world around us. Research into mindsets in individuals found that those who were successful and motivated thought about the world in a different way. They had different mindsets to those who were less successful. Those with a fixed mindset typically believe that intelligence, talents, and capabilities are stable, which leads to a desire to look clever or talented. They'll be limited in their effectiveness at work. They don't recognize that learning and development will play an important part in their career. They believe talent to be stagnant rather than evolving, and they're less likely to solve problems creatively. Those displaying a growth mindset typically believe that intelligence, talents, and capabilities can be developed, which promotes a desire to learn. Employees who demonstrate a growth mindset are more likely to be effective. They're proactive in seeking constructive feedback, and they see failure as an opportunity to learn. They're likely to recognize the strengths and are more likely to work through problems in their own work. Encouraging employees to adopt a growth rather than fixed or self-limiting mindset will clarify other advantages to employee well-being, reducing anxiety and stress, and boosting opportunity and development. One way to encourage a growth mindset in employees is to train leaders. Encourage the development of a growth mindset in leaders, and as a style of leadership by including it in leader training modules. Review how you communicate some of your business results and news to employees. With mindset in mind, are there some messages that are not growth focused? If there are, rephrase them in a way that offers development potential. The reinforcement of a growth mindset is likely to develop a learning organization culture in which development, progression, and transformation are encouraged. This can contribute to career development, skills and knowledge acquisition, and organizational growth. Mentoring is defined as offline help by one person to another in making significant transitions in knowledge, work, or thinking. A mentor is usually someone at a more senior level to the employee being mentored, with experience, knowledge, and networks that they can share with the mentee. A mentor can take on several different roles in the course of a mentoring relationship, depending on the requirements of their mentee, from advisor to ally, challenging assumptions, and providing constructive and critical feedback on issues. In the context of well-being, providing mentors for your team members can offer several advantages. It provides the employee with a confidential sounding board, a safe space for exploring challenges, issues, or causes of stress at work. You may want to invest in some formal training for your proposed mentors to ensure that they understand the expectations and some of the core skills required to make mentoring effective. It can help to mirror this training with some for the mentees themselves, so that both parties are aligned as the process and expectations of mentoring in your organization evolve. As you identify mentors and mentees, consider the strengths and experiences they have and how those could be utilized through mentoring. Consider what their development needs are and what preferences they might have. Ending the relationship is an important part of the process. Ensure that both parties can formally review the intended outcomes or objectives and can consider from both sides the successes and lessons learned from experience. Organizationally, the introduction of mentors can bring about improved inter-department relationships and information sharing, cross-functional collaboration, as well as improving the retention and productivity of key staff. Mentors can get some good outcomes too. Many report that learning is reciprocal, that as much as the mentee learns from the experience of the mentor, so the mentor can learn about things from a different perspective. Inviting feedback from both the mentor and the mentee will help you evaluate the effectiveness of the program. Done in the right way, constructive and effective feedback is a key part of improved performance. Employees need to know what they're doing well and what's not going so well. But to ensure it's constructive and effective, it must not only come from a place of good intention, it must also be delivered well and provided often. It's important to remember that offering positive feedback on success and strengths is as important as providing constructive feedback on things that haven't gone well, or on skills or behaviors that should be improved. Giving feedback effectively is an important leadership skill and one that takes little effort but lots of practice. Your intent to deliver feedback needs to come from a positive place, an encouragement or a desire to focus on improvement, development, and opportunity. You won't achieve that by being harsh, critical, or offensive. With positive intent firmly in your mind, consider the mindset of the individual, the timing, the quantity and quality of your feedback, and your expectation of how they might be able to use it. You need to deliver it as close to the time of occurrence as you can, so that it feels relevant to the recipient. However, if the situation is emotional, you may want to allow some time for self-reflection first. Finding a quiet and private space to deliver effective feedback is beneficial. Certainly, for more constructive feedback, the opportunity to coach, a more private moment is most valuable. A feedback session should discuss no more than 2 issues. Any more than that, your employee will become overwhelmed and you'll be unable to process or action anything further. Provide tangible, facts-based examples or evidence of the action or behavior so that there will be no disagreement about it. Vague feedback will not help the recipient to know what to do differently. Give feedback from your perspective rather than secondhand. Take clear ownership for the message you offer. Give the recipient time to consider their response. Don't forget to provide feedback about the positive things that you've seen or heard too. It lets the recipient identify with the successes, what they look like, and to feel recognized and valued. Good feedback can encourage a continuation of positive performance or behaviors that optimize strengths. Performance management is changing. As a result, many organizations have now removed or redesigned performance management process to implement simpler, more focused, and more regular reviews. Check-in meetings provide the opportunity for frequent, shorter, one-on-one discussions with the aim of more closely meeting the goals of the performance review process. The introduction of regular check-ins will not require a full redesign of your existing appraisal process. Instead, it will simply require you as a manager to hold more regular meetings. The performance check-in is not intended as a formal evaluation, but an opportunity to check progress, to provide correction or development, and to ensure that expectations are clear and can be met. The frequency of check-ins should be determined by the workflow of the role that you're reviewing and the needs of the individual. The check-in is intended to provide the opportunity for manager and employees to focus on expectations and deliverables for the coming period. The outcomes should therefore be aligned with priorities and focus areas, as well as clear views of support required and any potential challenges or opportunities that might arise. By setting aside time for regular conversations with employees, a manager is demonstrating that they're investing time, concerned to ensure their success, and willing to support and guide and coach their team members. As a manager, assess your own capabilities in facilitating the check-in process. Are you providing constructive feedback that's well received by the employee? Is the process ensuring that your team meets the deliverables allocated to them? Ask your employees for feedback about whether the check-in is useful for them and what might make it more beneficial. There are many opportunities to involve employees at all levels in change, decision making, and continuous improvement. When employees feel involved and well informed about what's happening in the organization, it increases motivation and helps them to see how the work they do fits the bigger picture. Leaders need to be as open as possible to involve staff in decision making and listen to them when changes need to happen. People are far more likely to buy into change that they're invested in. There are many ways that you can involve employees to improve engagement, but essentially, employees want to connect to a sense of purpose, to feel heard, and that their contributions are valued. Send surveys or host feedback focus groups. Ask people for their input. This demonstrates that the organization values the input and that they have something useful to say. Managing that process is important because asking useful questions is important itself, but really listening and doing something with the views and ideas you receive is the key. Keeping people informed is a key factor in managing stress levels and the well-being of employees, so an open, frequent, and two-way communication strategy is important. Offering opportunities for involvement can increase an employee's feelings of self-worth and develop their potential. According to a recent Gallup study, just an estimated 13% of employees worldwide are actively engaged at work. Engaged employees are typically more productive, innovative, and more likely to go the extra mile for their manager, while the remaining 87% are either actively disengaged, intentionally disruptive, or just going through the motions. In turn, this has a clear effect on how productive they are and how often they're absent. This lack of stimulation can be at best demotivating, but at worst can begin to have a bearing on mental health, causing anxiety or stress. Engagement surveys can be valuable, but can also be costly, and unless you know how to use the results, they will only tell you where you are today, and not where you can get to, or how to do that. So, there are 4 key areas of focus for organizations seeking to improve their levels of engagement. Clear expectations help connect the employee to the organization's culture and goals, as well as clarifying responsibilities and expected behavior. Progress explores what managers need to do to help employees perform in their role and develop them to reach their potential. It reinforces the importance of feedback about performance and behavior. Inspiration focuses on how managers can inspire their team members so they can perform at their best every day, encouraging the sharing of a compelling and exciting vision, empowerment and trust, and creativity and innovation. Collaboration covers the benefits of creating the right environment for working with others. It promotes networking, cross-functional collaboration and challenge, input and feedback from employees. Measuring and assessing levels of engagement will indicate the changes that have been experienced in the organization. In today's business environment, change is a regular, if not continuous, occurrence. Change impacts how employees are organized, whether that might be how many workers are needed, what they do, where they do it, or simply just the quality of their work, the technology they use, or who they interact with. Most of the major change that happens to us at work is not in our direct control. However, everyone is in control of their reactions to the change. While some people may feel excited and enthusiastic about change, others might feel anxious and concerned, and this reaction can lead to a greater level of resistance. As a leader, if you're excited and energized by change, that can be a great strength. Though you should be aware when managing others that you are empathetic to their individual reaction to change itself. Be clear with all impacted employees about the rationale for change. In describing why change is being initiated, tell people what's wrong or insufficient about the way things are, and what about the enhancement you're trying to make. Taking into account their feedback, views, suggestions, or concerns of employees in the development of new futures will help to secure their engagement in the process of change. As a leader, your commitment to the change will be an important signal to the people who work for you and around you. You should act as a strong advocate, manage resistance proactively, and demonstrate strong leadership. Involving people in the process of change is likely to lower their resistance as well as their stress level. As the change program draws to a close, with successful implementation and evaluation of change, leaders should take the opportunity to celebrate its success and to recognize the contributions of all involved. Proactively managing a business change can help to ensure that employees will feel supported and engaged in the process.